Resuming the pattern of previous quarter, Indonesia still experienced a negative growth in first quarter of 2021. Real estate developer Bumi Serpong Damai booked 126% net profit growth in first quarter of 2021. Good afternoon, viewers. Market Headlines is ready to provide you a number of informations from business, economic, and capital market sectors. With me, Wicky Adrian, this is Market Headlines. Indonesia's economy shrank for the fourth straight quarter. In January to March 2021 period, Indonesia reports minus 0.74% economic growth. However, the value is much more modest pace as the government boosted spending.
Indonesia's economic growth is still negative in the first quarter of 2021. The Statistic Indonesia recorded that the economy in the first 3 months of this year was minus 0.74% year-on-year. Head of Statistic, Suharyanto, said that Indonesia's gross domestic product at the current price was recorded at 3,969 trillion rupiah. Then, on the basis on a constant price, it was recorded at 2,683 trillion rupiah.
2021 ini, perekonomian Indonesia berdasarkan besaran PDB atas dasar harga berlaku adalah sebesar 3.969 triliun. Atas harga konstan 2.683 triliun, sehingga kalau kita bandingkan dengan posisi pada triwulan 1 tahun 2020, maka pertumbuhan ekonomi Indonesia pada triwulan 1 tahun 2021 ini masih mengalami kontraksi sebesar 0,74%.
The number is better when compared to the economic growth in the fourth quarter of 2020, which was minus 2.19%. This shows signs of economic recovery will become even more apparent. From Jakarta, Rajo Pakmo for IDX Channel.
There is strong reason on why Indonesia's economic growth in first quarter of 2021 is still contracted. According to Statistic Indonesia, the push factor is the low people's purchasing power.
Source of economic growth based on expenditure is still dominated by public consumption, which is more than 50% of the GDP structure. This has resulted in economic growth in the first quarter, which is still minus 0.74%, which cannot be separated from minus 2.23% in public consumption. The contraction is projected to continue in the second quarter. This is due to restrictions on mobility and homecoming ban policy.
Ketika Lebaran, harusnya ada peningkatan konsumsi untuk makanan dan minuman. Harusnya ada peningkatan konsumsi untuk membeli pakaian baru. Harusnya ada peningkatan konsumsi untuk transportasi mudik. Yang kalau dia berhenti di satu kota, harusnya ada pengeluaran untuk hotel dan juga restoran. Jadi larangan mudik ini tentunya akan berdampak sangat signifikan ke konsumsi rumah tangga.
Head of Statistic Indonesia, Suharyanto, said that the negative consumption is due to some components experienced contraction, such as transportation and communications, which still contracted by 4.24%, followed by restaurants and hotels, which contracted by 4.16%, and then clothing and healthcare contracted by 2.71%, as well as food and beverages contracted by 2.31%. Jakarta, Rajo Pakmo for IDX Channel.
Regarding the realization of budget absorption, the Minister of Finance asked regional governments to be serious in budget execution, given the large amount of idle regional government funds in banks. This was emphasized by the minister due to regional budget's big role in economic recovery.
The government's plan to accelerate economic recovery is still being held back by the slow execution of budgets in local governments. This is despite the fact that almost a third of the power of central and regional government spending lies in the regional government. This can be seen from the conditions in October 2020, where transfers to the regions and village funds that had been distributed were 697.9 trillion rupiah, or 91.4% of the ceiling. However, in fact, regional expenditure as a whole is only 53.3%, where the regional government cash balance has actually increased to 247.5 trillion from the position in June 2020, which amounted to 196.2 trillion. Finally, fiscal instruments that must be counter-cyclical are then hampered due to inadequate budget realization.
Instrumen fiskal yang seharusnya melakukan counter-cyclical kemudian mampet atau tidak berjalan waktu ditransfer ke APBD karena berhenti dan kemudian terjadi lag atau dalam hal ini jeda, sehingga memang kekuatan untuk mendorong ekonomi kembali terutama pada kuartal 3 dan 4 tahun lalu terlihat sangat kemudian menurun karena pemerintah daerah tidak melakukan eksekusi secepat dan setepat yang diharapkan.
Sri Mulyani added that this had a significant impact on economic growth in the last 2 quarters of last year. The role of the regional government in realizing spending is very much needed to be able to recover the economy more quickly. From Jakarta, Raharjo Patmo for IDX Channel.
State-owned enterprises are considered no longer contributing to the economy. In this regard, the Ministry of SOE will dismiss 7 state-owned enterprises in the near future.
Minister of SOE, Erick Thohir, said that the plan has been on discussion from a long time ago. In a sense, the government wants to take efficient actions, plus to give certainty to state-owned companies' workers.
Nah, kita sebagai tentu pimpinan akan zolim kalau kita membiarkan tadi tidak ada kepastian daripada BUMN tersebut ataupun pekerjanya. Nah, kita harus mengambil langkah-langkah. BUMN yang sekarang pun dengan perubahan daripada pasca COVID pun harus siap-siap bersaing. Apalagi yang sudah kalah bersaing. Yang masih hidup aja sekarang harus berubah untuk bersaing.
To carry out the dismissal, the ministry through asset management, so-called PT Perusahaan Pengelola Aset, will firstly conduct assessment. The assessment will be based on the company's asset, workforce, and operations, including the settlement of liabilities. From Jakarta, Wicky Adrian for IDX Channel.
Market headlines will be right back after the break. Stay tuned.
Berkah kedamaian Ramadan dengan beragam program spesial IDX Channel. Arjuna hadir setiap hari jam 5:30 sore. Rahmatan lil alamin setiap hari menjelang azan maghrib. Urban Street Food hadir setiap hari jam 6 sore. Syariah Economic bersama Ustadz Hilman Fauzi setiap hari jam 8 malam. Hanya di IDX Channel spesial Ramadan.
Tentunya banyak sekali kegagalan dan banyak sekali inefficiencies yang akhirnya berada di dalam usaha itu.
Sempat kayak, aduh kayak saya nggak cocok nih di sini. Sempat gitu Kak?
Enggak, saya selalu merasa terus harus merintis, terus harus berjuang, dan harus persevere. Karena nggak tahu kenapa sampai sekarang pun saya masih punya keteguhan kalau this is where I'm supposed to be. Inilah yang sebenarnya saya harus lakukan dan ini pasti nantinya bisa sukses.
Indeks harga saham gabungan bergerak fluktuatif.
Nilai tukar rupiah terhadap dolar Amerika Serikat sedikit mengalami apresiasi.
Bagaimana dengan target pertumbuhan ekonomi Indonesia di kuartal 1 tahun ini?
Sehingga pada kuartal 1 tahun 2021 diperkirakan ekonomi akan mengalami kontraksi, akan mengalami penurunan.
Faktor-faktor utama dalam penolakan dari Uni Eropa terkait produk sawit Indonesia.
Indonesia disebut belum mampu menerapkan standar lingkungan yang cukup dan juga standar keberlanjutan yang cukup.
Welcome back. It is official now. Government has stated that May 5th is Proud of Indonesian Products Day. As a result, a total of 72 e-commerce platforms will provide various promotions from May 5th to 13th, 2021.
Trade Minister Lutfi, Communications Informatics Minister Johnny, and Indonesia E-commerce Association's Chair Bimalaga signed a joint agreement on National Day, which noted the provisions of free shipping for orders up to a certain amount by online marketplaces. As a result, a total of 72 e-commerce platforms will provide various promotions from May 5th to 13th, 2021. One of the promotion is a free shipping, which was expected to affect public's willingness to go on Eid Homecoming.
Subsidi ongkirnya ini itu memang dari pihak marketplace. Jadi dari anggota IDEA yang saat ini sudah 72 anggota member IDEA yang terdaftar, dan subsidi ongkir ini kita harapkan bisa memberikan penetrasi belanja untuk produk-produk buatan Indonesia.
The government launched a Proud Indonesian Product Day in an effort to boost household consumptions in the community, particularly amid the government's policy that bans Eid Homecoming in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic. From Jakarta, Rizka Ayu, Maria Oktober, IDX Channel.
Happy Proud of Indonesian Products Day. Yesterday is May 5th, and the government launched the day as Proud of Indonesian Products Day. This is an effort to boost household consumption in the community, and to celebrate the day, a total of 72 e-commerce platforms provide various promotions from May 5th to 13th, 2021. And this matters a lot because e-commerce is a huge part of the economy. E-commerce gives local products the ability to reach more customers than traditional retail reaches. And therefore, the higher transaction in e-commerce, the better it is for our economy. And let's see the projection of e-commerce transaction growth according to Bank of Indonesia in the first graphic. This is the projection of e-commerce transaction growth. In 2019, it was on the level of 205.5 trillion rupiah. In 2020, 253 trillion rupiah. In 2021, it is projected to reach 337 trillion rupiah. Central Bank Governor Periwarjo said that economic and digital growth has recently been fast. The increase in the number of e-commerce transactions is pushed by government policies in encouraging digitalization in the community and encouraging the acceleration of financial technology and digital banking. And not only Central Bank that gives projection, but ICT Institute has its projection as well. Executive Director of the Indonesia ICT Institute, as well as a startup observer, Heru Sutadi, assessed that the prospects from the e-commerce business in Indonesia will be even better and continue to increase. And let's see the projection in the next graphic. This is ICT Institute's projection of e-commerce transaction growth. Its basic scenario in 2021 will reach $60 billion, but in 2025, the basic scenario will reach $125 billion. Meantime, talking about its best scenario of ICT Institute about projection of e-commerce transaction growth in 2021, $80 billion. Meantime, for 2025, it projected to reach $200 billion. And the shift in consumer behavior patterns to online stores is a result of the pandemic, so it makes more offline stores to close. Therefore, e-commerce transaction is projected to see its peak level these days. Moreover, government has launched the Proud of Indonesian Products Day, whereas e-commerce platforms will provide various promotions to celebrate the day. The growth of online shopping indeed has become a momentum for small and medium enterprises who sell on the marketplace. Besides being able to expand product reach through digital channels, local SMEs can also increase turnover. The results of the Kata Data Insight Center survey placed Shopee as the largest revenue generating platform that helps small businesses. In addition, Shopee is quite superior in terms of promo programs to transaction security factors. And not only Shopee that becomes consumer darling, but also there are other giant marketplaces that becomes consumer darling. What are those? Let's see the next graphic. As I mentioned to you before, Shopee as the number one marketplace that had been favorited by Indonesian people. The ranking of Shopee in App Store, number one of course, Play Store, number one too, with the monthly web visit as much as 129.32 million visits. And after Shopee, we have Tokopedia with the number of web visits, 114.65 million visits. And after that, we have Bukalapak, Lazada, and Blibli. And these marketplaces give huge impact to domestic consumption. No wonder Central Bank is feeling optimistic that the value of e-commerce transaction in 2021 will grow 33.2% to 337 trillion rupiah. Other than the value of e-commerce transactions, Central Bank also estimates that e-money transactions will increase this year by 32.3% to 266 trillion rupiah. Same like e-commerce, there are several giant e-money that can be a mover for a national economy. What are those? Let's see the next graphic. This is top 5 digital wallet used by respondents. GoPay, 87% of the respondent using GoPay. And after that, we have OVO, 80.4%, Dana, 75.8%, ShopeePay, 53.2%, and Link Aja, 47.5%. From the data, we can conclude that GoPay and OVO are the leader of current e-money trend, as the electronic money transactions grew by 32.3% to 266 trillion rupiah. The use of physical money and coins will decrease because people will be more comfortable using electronic money. Using electronic money also has strong linkage with e-commerce transaction. The more people use electronic money, the more e-commerce transaction can be realized. Thus, more people can buy local products and bring welfare to small businesses. And once again, happy Proud of Indonesian Products Day. And stay tuned on Market Headlines because we'll be right back after the break.
Presiden Joko Widodo memiliki optimisme yang tinggi terkait dengan proses vaksinasi nasional yang sedang dilakukan saat ini. Bagaimana tanggapan dari pengusaha dengan angka ini?
Tentu membuat kita harus lebih berhati-hati.
Langkah apa yang tepat dilakukan untuk bisa meningkatkan pemahaman masyarakat?
Komunikasi publik adalah kunci. Jadi kita harus bisa menunjukkan kepada masyarakat bahwa vaksinasi itu penting.
Assalamualaikum Sobat Milenial, berikut adalah tips untuk mengatur dana THR. Yang pertama adalah menabung sebagian dari dana THR yang diterima. Dengan Anda menyisihkan dana THR untuk ditabung, Anda dapat mencegah pengeluaran yang tidak terkontrol. Kedua, membatasi belanja online. Di tengah Ramadan dan Idul Fitri banyak sekali e-commerce yang menebar diskon di mana-mana. Nah, Sobat Milenial jangan terjebak, prioritaskan dana THR untuk kebutuhan utama. Yang ketiga adalah zakat dan sedekah. Anda bisa mengalokasikan 2,5% dari THR untuk zakat fitrah dan sisanya bisa dialokasikan untuk berbagi kepada sesama. Keempat, dana darurat. Di tengah pandemi virus corona, dana darurat dapat menghindarkan kita dari kejadian yang tidak diinginkan. Ya Sobat Milenial, memang menerima THR ini merupakan momen yang ditunggu-tunggu pada saat Lebaran, tapi tetap harus bijaksana dalam penggunaan THR dan harus menggunakan dananya sewajar-wajarnya dan juga jangan boros.
We're on the last segment at the Jakarta Composite Index intraday movement. Earlier today, JCI was open at the level of 5,976.16, and then approaching the closing time of the session, the index was on the level of 5,933.3. Then the index was showing strengthening trend by the second session closing time. Index was closed at the level of 5,934.91. In short, JCI went out 0.2%. And moving on to top gainers and top losers, here are the key highlights from today's trading session. ANTM went up 0.38% to the level of 2,630 per share. BBRI went up 0.74% to the level of 4,090 per share. TINS went up 1.36% to the level of 1,865 per share. And zinc went up 10.71% to the level of 186 per share. Meantime, the top losers for today's trading, we got TLKM went down 0.31% to the level of 3,200 rupiah per share. MDKA went down 0.39% to the level of 2,550 rupiah per share. BMRI went down 0.82% to the level of 6,050 rupiah per share. And Adaro went down 4.4% to the level of 1,195 rupiah per share. And next, we're going to see the intraday movement of rupiah towards US dollar. Open at the level of 14,383. Rupiah was also showing a weakening trend towards US dollar. It was closed at the level of 14,416. In summary, rupiah went down 0.23%. Where Bumi Serpong Damai managed to book a net profit of 588.29 billion rupiah during the first quarter of 2021. The profit increased of 126.58% year-on-year.
The performance of Bumi Serpong Damai in the first 3 months of 2021 was marked by a surge in property sales. The company also managed to get a net profit of more than 100%. The company managed to book a net profit of 588.29 billion rupiah, an increase of 126.58% when compared to the same period in 2020, which was 259.65 billion rupiah. Bumi Serpong Damai Director Hermawan Wijaya said that sales performance growth and cost efficiency strategies during the pandemic were positive catalysts for the company's performance. During the first quarter, Bumi Serpong Damai managed to record an operating revenue growth of 11.6% or 1.67 trillion rupiah. The property unit sales segment, namely land, buildings and strata title, is the largest contributor to operating income. The segment contributed 81% or 1.35 trillion rupiah. The growth in operating income is greater than the growth in cost of goods sold, where it was recorded at 446.75 billion rupiah, or 1.3% lower than the same period in 2020. IDX Channel team reported.
During the first quarter of 2021, Aneka Tambang managed to turn net loss to profit. The company earned a net profit of 630.37 billion rupiah.
Aneka Tambang managed to record a slick performance during the first quarter of 2021. The state-owned company earned a net profit of 630.37 billion rupiah. This is reversed from the condition in the first quarter of 2020, where Antam booked a loss of up to 281.84 billion rupiah. The increase in Antam's net profit cannot be separated from the increase in revenue. This precious metal peddler posted net income of 9.21 trillion rupiah, up 77.04% from the realization of revenue in the same period in the previous year, which is only 5.2 trillion rupiah. In detail, Antam's revenue was dominated by gold sales, which reached 6.58 trillion rupiah, an increase of 65% year-on-year, followed by the ferronickel and nickel ore segments with 1.23 trillion and 950 billion rupiah respectively. Then revenue from sales of alumina amounted to 221.29 billion, sales of bauxite ore amounting to 144.51 billion, and silver worth 31.41 billion rupiah. Antam also earned revenue from refining precious metals and other services worth 43.3 billion rupiah. IDX Channel team reported.
Mining issuer Indica Energy succeeded in reducing net losses to $9.36 million in the first quarter of 2021.
In the first quarter of 2021, Indica Energy succeeded in reducing net losses. The company is also optimistic that this year's performance will improve in line with the increasing trend of world coal prices. In this financial report shows that the company recorded a net loss of $9.36 million in the first quarter of 2021. That number is shrinking compared to the loss in the first quarter of 2020 of $21.02 million. However, the company's revenue fell 9.2% to $582.17 million from $641.5 million in the first quarter of 2020. In fact, the average selling price of Indica Energy's coal rose 5% to $45.2 per ton. According to Indica Energy Director Retina Rosabai, the decline in revenue performance was due to performance pressures that were still being felt by several subsidiaries such as Tripatra, Petrosi, and Mitra Bahtera Segara Sejati, but was successfully offset by increased performance from Kideko Jaya Agung, Multi Tambang Jaya Utama, and Interport Mandiri Utama. The director also explained that in general, the company's performance improved in the first 3 months of this year compared to the same period in the previous year. IDX Channel team reported.
And step aside for market condition as coronavirus pandemic takes big role on current economic situation. And here is an update data about coronavirus globally. Ada itunya nggak? Indonesia close our market headlines today. Please enjoy our next program on IDX Channel, your trustworthy economic, business, and capital market channel. Postponing your homecoming in this Eid al-Fitr is not only important, but it is protecting your loved ones as well. And Wicky Adrian, have a nice evening and stay safe.